Hi everybody, this is Dr. Harris, and I wanted to talk about week 1 in our Introduction to Online Writing Instruction course and some of what you'll be completing in this first week's activities. So to talk about that, I have to talk about the structure of the entire course. If you flip through kind of the weeks, you've seen that we're going to be creating in the entire class one assignment sequence. Something that if on October 11th you had to start an online writing instruction class, that would be ready to go because you would have submitted the whole thing October 10th. And we think about this course design as a way of learning the components of the microcosm so that we can apply those to the macrocosm. So if we learn all of the components of writing an effective online writing assignment, then we can use that for multiple assignments, and we can use that to create an entire class. So the entire OWI graduate certificate program will help you create a class, but what Intro does is just helps you learn the nuts and bolts of user-centered design or learner-centered design in creating one assignment. In week 1, you're going to submit the first draft of that assignment. It does not have to be perfect. It does not have to integrate all the components of OWI that we're going to study throughout the course. It just has to be an assignment. So if you're a current teacher, you can take an assignment you've already used and submit that, even as is, would be fine with me. Or if you're just starting to build your teaching portfolio, create an assignment, and you can look at the sample assignments from Scott Warnock and Diana Gasiewski's Writing Together, which is a brand new book. It just came out at 4Cs this year. They have sample assignments in the appendix, and you can look at those to kind of figure out how to structure your own assignment if you're kind of starting from scratch. But then we're going to iterate on that. We're going to add in presence and interaction activities. We're going to add in course design, think about aligning our outcomes, assessments, and assignments, and we're going to make it accessible. So we have a lot of work to do on those assignments. In week 1, I'm going to ask you to just introduce yourself. And on this website, on the week 1 website, I introduce myself and tell you a little bit about my teaching history, particularly online. And a little bit about the teaching history of our authors. Scott and Diana are going to be joining us, I think, in week 5 or 6 for a Q&A about the book and about online writing instruction in general. So this is going to be a lot of fun. But for the first discussion, I'd like you to just read the first kind of 3 chapters of that book. And then after you've read that introduction, go to the 1.1 discussion board, which is in Blackboard under discussions. Most of you will be familiar with an LMS of some kind, even if it's not Blackboard. Go to this 1.1 discussion board and introduce yourself answering these 3 questions. Why are you exploring online writing instruction? How did you decide to take the class? What interests you about the class? And what about this class makes you cringe? So think about your own experiences with online writing instruction. Tell us some of that. And then just think about what you love about online instruction and what you might be dreading. And that'll help to set you up for the second part, which is the OWI self-assessment. So, as you know, the program is designed around the 4Cs Committee for Effective Practices in Online Writing Instruction's position statement of principles and example effective practices for online writing instruction, which we call the OWI PEEP here in the program. And Beth Hewitt was one of the co-authors of that document along with Scott Warnock. I was on that committee right after the document was released, and I'm on a committee for a organization called GSOL that is rewriting the online writing instruction principles around literacy instruction. We'll talk more about that later. But what we're going to do is kind of be thinking about that principle statement, which is infused into every part of the course. And if you look at the course outcomes on our syllabus, you'll see little numbers next to them, and those refer back to the OWI principle statement. What I'd like you to do is kind of look over the OWI principle statement and then read Julie Dirkson's Design for How People Learn, Introduction in Chapter 1. You will get a yellow copy of this book, but this is the first edition. My second edition's on my iPad. Read that and think about the different kinds of learning gaps that she talks about. And because we're using user-centered design theory or learner-centered design theory in our case, we're going to talk about those gaps and both our gaps and our students' gaps and how we can start to close those gaps. So for your part of this assignment, I'd like you to go to this OWI self-assessment template, which is kind of a learning grid, and fill in kind of what you know. This is a template, so you'll want to make sure and make a copy before you start filling in. But I have posted a video that talks about how to do the learning grid that I'd like you to review. It might mention Google Classroom because I used Google Classroom last time I taught this course. So ignore the Google Classroom instructions and instead follow these instructions below here. And I'll let you read those on your own. So that's going to kind of get me started understanding where you're at as an individual. We have people from all over the spectrum, people who are currently teaching online, who are going to teach online, who are going to be online administrators. I mean, it's just a range of students in this class. It's a real... and then lastly, as I said, just submit the first draft of the assignment you're going to be working on all term. And if you have any questions about what assignment will work or whether an assignment will work, just send me an email and we can talk it through. So that's week 1. And because this is an accelerated course, this is a lot of work. It's a lot of reading. It's a lot of activities, but I think you'll be fine as long as you pace yourself and just add in time to make sure you've completed the readings and given yourself enough time to kind of think over the subjects. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. My email is haharris@ualr.edu, or you can post to the Q&A discussion board in Blackboard. I'm looking forward to week 1 and to discussing who you are and why you're here. Thanks.